Hello, I'm Susan Barber from Atlanta, Georgia, and I wanted to share some strategies for the multiple choice section of the AP Literature exam. These strategies will apply to both the prose and the poetry sections. And some of these tips are just about test constructions, and other things are ideas that you can use when you're taking the test. So choose the ones that work for you, practice ahead of time, and don't feel like you have to use all of them. One thing to remember about the test is the questions generally go in order through the poem or the passage. So they're not going to skip all around within a text. They're going to start at the beginning and just systematically work their way through the passage. Now, while the questions go in order of the passage, they're not necessarily an easy to hard level of difficulty. So the level of difficulty is going to be mixed up. You may start with a really difficult question and then move to an easier question, then have a middle question. So just be aware that the questions are all mixed up with level of difficulty. And this is important because one thing you may want to try to do is answer the easier questions first, because when you answer those, it just helps you process more of the text. It may get you back into the text to look at some of the references more, and then putting all of those together can help you answer the harder questions. Also, even though the questions, some are easier, some are harder, they are all weighted the same. So they all count the same. That's good, because if you get on a really difficult question, you can just use your guess, make an educated guess, and you're going to do that by eliminating answers that don't align with other answers. And then you can just move on. Don't spend too much time on one question, because you don't want to run out of time and leave several easier questions unanswered. So if a question is just really, really difficult, or you're not even sure what it's asking, do your best with it, and then move on to answer as many questions as you can. One thing that I like to suggest to my students is, when you approach a new passage for multiple choice, is to read all of the multiple choice stems first. Don't read the answers, but read the stems. And this does a couple of things. First, is going to give you a little bit of understanding of the passage or the poem before you even read it. You're going to have some context about it and some information about it before you even read it, and that's going to help you with the reading. The second thing that this does is it gives you a purpose for reading, because some of those things you're going to pick up on in your reading. And another thing that I encourage students to do, if it helps you, is when you read the stems, you might want to mark it as a T for a text-dependent question, or an I for an inference question. And that way, when you finish, you mark your stems, you read your stems, you mark your stems, then you read the passage. And then you can come back and answer all of the text-dependent questions first. I think this is good because the text-dependent questions tend to be the easier questions. So this will build your confidence. It helps you put different parts of the passage together to make meaning of it. And it also gets you back into the text several times, looking for specific things with it. Now, once you've looked at all these text-dependent questions and text references, now you're ready to draw inferences about the passage. So I like doing that if that's helpful for you. If it's not, some students like to answer all of the questions in order. They don't like going out of order. So you just have to know what's going to work best for you and lean that. But don't experiment on exam day. You want to try these strategies before exam day. So you go into exam day having a plan, knowing what works for you, having practiced it, and ready to go. The final thing is to use answers from other questions to help you come to an answer if you're stuck on something. Answers never contradict each other. So if it's right in another answer and it seems to, and you're really confident of that, and it seems to conflict one of the choices that you're unsure about, you can throw that out, because all of the answers are going to align and not contradict each other. And also, if one part of the answer is wrong, then the whole answer is wrong. So the whole thing has to be correct for the answer to be correct. The best thing is just to relax. You want to move at a pretty good pace, but I think really students have more time than they think they do. So you don't have to be in such a hurry that you're frantic. So take a deep breath, relax, systematically work your way through it, have your plan before test day, practice your plan before test day, and you'll be ready to go.